Uh, I'm gonna start it in just a second. For some reason, YouTube's not wanting to start. YouTube go burr. I think I see a little midget behind me. I forgot to go on orange, didn't I? Oh well. Oh well, oh well. I'm gonna have to boot the little Hapu from the world. I'm sorry. Rest in peace. What? Anywho, I'll fix the whole orange thing. I don't know why YouTube's being janky. I like it over Twitch, but it's still a little weird, and it's not easy to get used to. While saying that, though, there we go. Oh, what? And then an at Poicast. Wow. There we go. Looks good, looks good, looks good. Sick. Well, shoot. Guess we'll get this started. But before we do, let's triple check. YouTube looks good, which is the secondary stream. Fucking, I need to put this on. There we go. Discord stream. Discord looks good. Twitch, not Twitch, whatever the fuck, YouTube looks good. I think we're good, good, good. I do be having a problem. What is wrong with this? There we go. Part of my headset fell off. So, topics to talk about. There's a couple of things, but not too much. So I'll talk in detail about a couple of them, and but overall, there's not too many topics. So, I'm not gonna go over stats. I was going to, but long story short, I had to change my VR chat password, and I didn't log in, and I was eating and watching Cowboy Bebop, so I apologize. But if you're interested in the stats, all of the stats are public. If you're interested in the Discord stats, you can go to StatBot and then log in with Discord and check Hapu Foundation. All of the stats are public there. And if you're interested in the world stats, all of the world stats are also public on VRChat's website. If you just search and say Hapu Foundation avatars, Hapu Hangout, Hapu Avatars Quest, you get the idea. But yeah. As for stuff to talk about, there's not too much, as I said in the beginning, but we'll talk about the police a little bit. Well, mostly the police, because that's what I've been working on this week. But we'll talk about a little bit of everything, and events especially. So while saying that, let's see. Let's talk about Poimotions real quick, because that's topical. Recently we had a decent sized promotion wave. That was talked about last Poicast, I think. Pretty sure we covered that. And long story short, I had some issues with StatBot. I don't know what happened, but out of nowhere, all of the roles went burr between, I think it was member and veteran, and maybe Hapu and Initiate, but I didn't see any of those in the log. So it wasn't a problem anyway, but that was all sorted. I still don't know why that happened, but the automated promotion system was turned off because it was a little finicky. Certain people were being promoted a little too quickly, others were being left out, and it's hard to make the system quite right, you know? So it's still something that's getting changed around a little bit. But I turned it back on, it's doing its thing, and for the time being, automated Poimotions up to veteran are happening. Now, there's a chance I'll change it to member, only to member, not to veteran, but we'll just have to see. I need to let it go how it currently is with changed statistics and changed numbers in general. So we'll see. And so if you were missing a role for just a second, or hell, if you're still missing, say you had veteran or otherwise, and you currently don't have it, let me know. But that's about it for that. So let's talk about Squire tryouts real quick. We talked about that last podcast, but we're going to be hosting Squire tryouts on Thursday, November 23rd, and Thursday. Did I say Thursday? No, Tuesday, November 23rd, and then Thursday, November 25th. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. There will be, there's going to be 2 sessions, one at the usual time of Those Who Find, so that would be the Those Who Find raid. That's 1500 EST. Fucking time zones go burr, Jesus Christ. And one for Those Who Hunt, which is fucking Jesus, 0 EST. You blow my brains with these things. It's basically 12 p.m. and I'm not even gonna try to do the. Anyway, depending on how many of you sign up, we may have additional sessions on following days, but we're looking into having additional sessions for those who can't make the scheduled times. So if you're interested but aren't available at the listed times, consider signing up anyway. But that's about it for the Squire tryout stuff. That's only a couple days away, right? 23rd. What is it? It's Sunday. So it's fucking 21st. Yeah, 21st. Shit, 2 days away. That's pretty cool. And then 2 days after that, that's going to be fun. So if you have any questions about Squire tryouts or anything I bring up, just, ping me in the Poicast topics and questions channel. But continuing on, let's see what else we got here. Let's talk about Quest a little bit, but before we do, let me get a sip of water. Tasty. So Quest is an interesting subject, as it's something that recently some of the Guardians have been picking up and have been doing Quest raids. Something that, originally Quest had a couple different ideas. Do we make it its own community? Do we make it its own subgroup? And I'm happy that we made it its own subgroup in the community instead of its own separate thing. That worked out a lot better, and that's going to keep working out a lot better than making it its own thing. But that's not what I wanted to talk about. That just popped up in my mind. So the question of Quest is, ultimately direction, and do we want to do scheduled raids? Now, this isn't something I brought up internally yet. I kind of wanted to more bring it out as a general question to both the Guardians and to raiders. Is, do we want scheduled raids? Like, is this something that we want to put maybe more resources into? Start getting dedicated hunt leaders? Because we do have the role for it. I can finally set up the section for it. I've been thinking about it because the systems that we have for Guardian and Squire can essentially just be reapplied and forked over for Quest. And with that in mind, we could then start doing Quest raiding consistently. Now, this is something that, of course, needs a little bit more thought than just that, but I thought I would raise the question of, do we want to start moving in that direction? I think it's something that ultimately is going to happen anyway, more direction in the sense of schedule and maybe a little bit more expansion on the Discord side of it. In the section, that being. But think about it, and if you have questions or you have ideas about that, suggest it in the suggestions channel or let me know. But that's been a, pretty big question in my mind lately is Quest, because we have the ability to support it to a pretty high extent, at least in my opinion. And with so many new... can I talk about that? I guess that's staff, so I guess I can't talk about that. But, there's potentially a lot of new staff coming in for different areas. And I think that's definitely an area that we can handle now. So just a thought. Let's talk about, oh lordy. So the police stuff. There's a lot here, actually. So before we get on to that, let's talk about staff expectations. This isn't really, it doesn't really matter to most of you, but for staff. So that was something that was implemented. I don't know why we didn't implement it sooner. But anyway, so staff expectations have been implemented internally. Now, they're going to have another pass through in the near future, but for now, they look pretty good, man. Crispy did good. Y'all did solid. And if you haven't checked it out yet and you're a part of the staff, hey, go do that. Do it. But yeah, so there's that. Now, what else? This is at the bottom of my list. It's not important at all, but I told Minnie, some of you might remember Minnie, that they're fucking adorable, and that is all. Let's see, police stuff. So let's talk about the police mandates real quick. So the police mandates, for those who don't listen to my ramblings, essentially that's supposed to be the direction and guidelines for, well, general structure, guidelines, all that jazz, for the police. You know, the do's, the don'ts, the not only do's and don'ts, but description of, okay, this is how this works, this is how you should do this is allowed, this isn't. But on top of that, the mandates give a decent amount of lore, in my opinion, as it gets built. But anyway, what I'm meaning to talk about is I've been working on them a little bit more, and I've put some more time into them. They're not quite where I want them to be, but they are actively still being worked on, and I think they're to the point where they were already to the point where it was functional for police officers to be able to go out and accomplish the general goal of what we want. Not quite to the extent of what I want, but it's functional, right? And I've expanded on it to where, you know, there's information about how you would go about doing a conversion, say after an arrest. And I've been putting more information in that regard in it as well. So that's going to keep getting expanded upon, probably just indefinitely. But yeah, all that we really need to wait right now before you guys can go out and about as police officers right now is just how we're going to train you guys. That's about it. And I'll talk about the other thing next. That's another part of why you guys aren't out and about as officers. So, police avatars. Right now, I'm in a little police avatar. This was one that I was playing around with. I was thinking this was going to be the main one, but I had a last second design change, and I'm going to make those textures later today. Now, I'm not going to share publicly what all the textures are going to be, but I've written down a whole new set of textures for all the models, and I think it's a good idea how the color scheming is going to go. They're going to look similar to this. They're going to have the cute little fucking midget badge on top. I don't know why, but I thought that was kind of just better if it was smaller. But there's going to be multiple different color schemes, right? So we're going to have the normal officers, we're going to have the expeditionaries, which I'll briefly go over those guys since I want them to play a bigger role in the police. But so normal officers, you can take a guess what their color scheme's going to be if they're going to be the normal officers. But so there's them, there's the expeditionaries, and then actually, let me just pull up the list. I think that'll be an easier time for all of us here. So, expeditionaries, officers, the patrol leaders themselves will have a custom version of the standard officer. So all of the officer bases are going to be based off of the same base. Custom avatars are going to be something that you can do, of course, but you know, standard-wise, we're going to have the officers, and I'll just tell you the colors, because fuck it. The officers are going to be blue as a base, so this section here, I'll turn this off. So this is going to be blue, as it currently is. Now, I don't know how the lighting is in this world, but this is currently blue. After that, the legs and the hat are going to be white. Fucking brain stopped working. The eyes are also going to be white, and the fire at the end of the gun when you shoot is going to be white as well. Right now it's just purple. I've also noticed my headset is not currently working. Hold on. That's upsetting. There we go. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's going to be the officer color schemes. So basically blue, then nothing but white, and then they're going to have... I'm going to have to change that, actually. That's not going to work. I'm not going to mention the last part there. So the Expeditionaries color scheme, they're going to be basically pure fucking black. Now, originally, Expeditionaries were supposed to look very friendly, and they were supposed to be kind of the more... what's the word? Hand, you know, the group of the officers that would go out and... be more like an event-specific branch. They would go out and interact with other communities or partake in those kinds of events. It would be more structured than, say, the officers or enforcers, and it would be more event-based than not. So, essentially the way that they're supposed to work, before I go off and keep explaining, is they're supposed to involve both the officers and enforcers, a combination of the two. And essentially the idea there is they would be an event-specific group that would interact with other communities. So essentially be our community-on-community event group, if you will. So I thought that was a really cool idea. And they would have, you know, normal out-of-event purposes as well. So originally they were supposed to be very friendly color scheme. But I've been kind of withdrawing from that idea and kind of going back towards the idea of dark and the more abyssal-esque theme. And I like that a lot more for not only the stylistic purposes, but they fit the models, in my opinion, a lot more too. So the Expeditionaries are going to be basically all black color-wise. Now the hair is still going to be white, but tail's going to be white, skin's going to be white, all that jazz. There's going to be white stars under the left booba. This little thingy, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but it's got gold stars on this version. There's going to be multiple group shoulder badges and the badge up here for them. And I'll give them a unique riot shield texture. That's the plans for the Expeditionaries for now, and it's super simple. They're just a recolor. These are all just essentially recolors for now. And next up is the patrol leaders. So the way that the patrol leaders are supposed to work, I've talked about this before, is you need a minimum of 2 Hapus, 2 officers, or 2 enforcers to form a Poitrol. Now, during a Poitrol, you would have a first and a second, as I've been calling them. So this is the first in command, the second in command. They're the only 2 people who would be allowed to speak in the Poitrol. Now, the way that's going to work is they're going to have Steves, the little ball abyssals, that's what we call them, as translators, which would allow them to speak. So instead of the Hapus having Visemes, the Steves would have them, and you would be talking through them. Now, I've asked Ash to do the modifications to the model necessary and to implement a floater system. That way, it's not just a static item that's constantly following. Like, if I move like this, it just moves statically with me. Instead, it would trail behind, and it would kind of have a little bit more free form and independence. So he's working on that. And that'll be for the patrol leaders. So their color scheme's supposed to be black for their main uniform. Their legs and their hat are supposed to be white. Their eyes are going to be purple. The fire for their gun is going to be black, and they're going to have white stars. Same as the Expeditionary. And I was thinking, lore-wise, I might write the Expeditionaries and Patrol Leaders to kind of work like this. I was thinking, what if in lore the Patrol Leaders were taken from, like, the best of the Expeditionary group? I don't know, it was just a fun little thought I might write into the lore. Because, I'll talk about Abyssal Order later, but I've been giving some attention to that too, which is essentially going to be the roleplay and lore hub of the groups. So, anyway, that's how the Patrol Leaders are going to go color scheme-wise and all that jazz. Let me just check real quick. I got a bunch of DMs. I'll check them after the podcast. So next up, this was a last moment addition, but I thought I would add it since there's going to be roleplay elements for Abyssal Order down the road involving this subgroup, but that's not something that's going to be achievable anytime soon. So I thought I would make an officer version of it for the time being for roleplay events. So Officer Custodians. There's supposed to be an Abyssal version custodian, which would essentially act as the Abyssal Admiralty's guard. They would be kind of like the, not special forces of the Abyss, but they would be very high-ranking members of the community, specifically the roleplay community, and they would guard the Admiralty or otherwise during events. So I wanted to implement an officer version since that particular version isn't going to be achievable anytime soon. Their color scheme is essentially dark gray across the board. Pretty straightforward there. It's essentially just gray across the board. Now, their fire is going to be purple. They're going to have multiple group shoulder badges, unique riot shield texture, and black stars under the where these are. So there might be some minor changes last second to them. So for the overseer of the officers, we're going to leave that up to them because that's not a position I expect to be filled anytime soon in the first place. So by the point somebody would get to maybe being to there, I would assume they would have a custom avatar in the first place. So I'm not going to make a variation of this for that role. Now let's talk about the Admiral version of this model. So in total, we do have 5 versions of this model that are going to exist. I've already started work on each of these versions. They're, again, just retextures of this base. Nothing crazy. But for the Admiral version, the main uniform will be black. The legs will be black. The hat will be, the top will be purple. This part will be black. And what else? I'm going to give them black hole eyes. I fucking love that shader so goddamn much. We'll also give them purple fire for their gun. Multiple group shoulder badges. We'll give them a unique riot shield texture. Purple stars. And pretty straightforward. Pretty simple. And as I said again, I've already gotten started on these. But in the future, most of these, like say the Admiral and again the Overseer and Custodian, those are going to end up being different models in the future for sure. And they will probably all end up being custom avatars. But for the Patrol Leaders, I think in general for all of the avatars, those are good color schemes, and I think I can make them all work. And I think they fit pretty well. But if you have suggestions or don't like the color schemes, especially when I start sending out screenshots, just say something. But, so there we go with the whole officer model uniform jazz. Hopefully that was somewhat insightful. Let me go through the Discords real quick before we get on the next topic. Let's see. I'll go through Poicast topics and questions next. So, Hapu News. Hapu News is pretty much just reliant on Quark. I haven't been touching it because I want him to develop it himself. Now, if he needs intervention, say he asks, then of course that's something to do. But you'd have to ask Quark about that. I haven't been the most involved in all of the ongoing dealings of the Hapu Foundation. The other question was, can current squires be promoted to guardian in the squire tryouts? That's not something I can answer. I don't have the answer for that one. But let's see. What else do I have for you guys? Got a few more things. Let me take a sip of water. So there's the police avatar model situation. Let's see, Abyssal Order. So, as it currently stands, we're going to talk... this is a little off topic, but it's still, you know. So, the Hapu Foundation has two planned sister communities. Now, one of them technically already exists, which is the Abyssal Police Division. It's no longer department because inside of the division, there's technically 3 departments. There's the officers, there's the enforcers, and then there's the expeditionary. But anyway, so while saying that, there is the Hapu Foundation, which is the main community, Abyssal Police Division, which will also be a main community, and then Abyssal Order, which will be the hub for roleplay and lore. It's essentially going to be... how would I put it? It's supposed to be not only a database for information about our community, but also about Hapu, about the source material, about the adventures of others in prior times. It's kind of cool in my opinion, and there's still a lot to be done, but the community idea itself for Abyssal Order is pretty cool. An Abyssal roleplay as a main aspect of it, while having, say, the Hapu Yakuza or Hapu Mafia. I still need to put more time into the White Clads, but I put the White Clads under what was going to be Hapu Society, and I put the Lore Keepers under them as well. And the Cultists would technically be Society. So I've been making a lot of changes in the plans. I'm sure most of you didn't know those plans in the first place. I'm not very good at communicating those things. But, so there's a lot of stuff that I've been moving around and trying to merge and bring together so I can finally start moving forward and really making progress on all of these different community projects. So something that I found kind of interesting, and this wasn't necessarily planned, but it was, so the Hapu Foundation has our leadership, our staff, and then our members. So 3, right? It's a triad. And I found this kind of funny. It was a little unexpected, but all of the Hapu sister communities, technically there's 3. That's another triad. So unintentionally we formed like this Abyssal triad, and the Abyssal Order's logo, I forked the police one over to Abyssal Order and Vua's police officer logo to be the police division's logo. And I just found that kind of interesting, man. Accidental triple triad. Fucking... Anyway, I found that kind of funny. Offbeat. Random, I know. While saying that, let's talk about community logo changes, because I just briefly glanced over that. So the Abyssal Police Division's logo, I moved it over to be Abyssal Order's logo. It's a little bit more fitting, and Vua's updated, not even updated, their police officer logo's fucking top tier, man. It's really fitting for the community, and shit, it makes a lot of sense. Even though the enforcers are going to come properly at some point, these are still going to be the mainstay force of the police. So having that be the logo actually makes a lot of sense. So thanks to Vua for that. It's fucking top tier, man. And let me tell you, on the Discord fucking side, on the server side, it looks fucking insane. It looks so goddamn good. I mean, shit. I'm sorry. It just looks so nice. So that's just some community logo changes and all that jazz. And yeah, nothing too crazy there. But anywho, is there anything else in this list that needs to be brought up? I might be missing some stuff, I'm not sure, but I don't see anything else in these notes except for one thing, which I wanted to save until the very end because it's not long, it's longer than what we've talked about so far outside of the police stuff. Well, saying that, it's gone on for about 30 minutes, and I could go on about some things that aren't quite really finished or quite really developed to the point of talking about, but I don't really want to do that. Yes, easy hub, Spidoo. Now, while saying that, actually, I will talk about one thing. Hapu Foundation Avatars B. It's been reported for a little bit now that world can cause crashes. I've been trying to figure out for the life of me why. Now, Spidoo, of course, can say X, Y, or Z. Fucking easy hub about what's wrong. And I think we're going to do a couple of things. We have a few options of how we could maybe fix this, but I'm still not entirely sure what's causing it. So it may be a script issue. Maybe we need to instance the islands. There's a lot of potentials of what we could do to fix it. But you can expect an update to the Avatar world fairly soon. And hopefully soon we can also get Jarno and a proper development team on the world as well. So hopefully that can get done soon. While saying that, let's talk about the last thing. I haven't seen it crash anyone firsthand, personally. I haven't seen any issues with it at all. I've had a couple people report it. This is in reply to Poicast chat. But I don't know, man. I've been trying to figure it out, and I, for the life of me, can't replicate it. I can't get myself to crash or any of my friends to crash. I'm assuming that it's an issue with the pedestals because a couple crashes happened when they switched, but even then, some people just reported random crashes in the first place, and it still doesn't make any sense to me why. I can't for the life of me figure it out. But we'll figure it out, and you can expect some changes. I think I'm going to change the skybox back to what it was. Maybe that's an issue. And I'm going to remove the black hole in the sky, as maybe that's also an issue. Either way, I think those are good calls. So we'll see development-wise what happens there, but we'll talk about that more in a different podcast. Let's see what else I got here. Staff vote. Oh, you didn't hear anything. So let's talk about the last thing on the list. But first, let me get a sip of water. Last thing on the list is interesting. Something that I don't know how many Poyos would participate in, but I'm curious nonetheless. So anyway, my headset's falling apart. That's what that noise is. Apologies. So, I'll say this verbatim as the announcement goes. Hey Apoyos, to celebrate Poymas this year, we'd like to introduce a Secret Santa event. This is where you can have your name put into a little hat and randomly be assigned another Poyo to get a little gift for. We'll wait a week before rounding up the reactions and shuffle the list for assignment of all the Santas. All participants will be both Santa and the gift receiver. After the assignment process, you will have until Christmas to get to know the Poyo you have been assigned. Since I'll be handling the shuffling, I won't be joining in. Hugh, Poi. This is from Ash. Secret Santa is a tradition in which members of a group or community are randomly assigned a person to whom they give a gift. The identity of the gift giver is to remain a secret and should not be revealed until the gift is given. In that time frame, all the participating members can try their go at guessing who their Secret Santa is. It's a lot of fun. Goodness, it is a lot of fun, actually. This gift doesn't have to be doesn't have to have a monetary value. It can be a nice little drawing, an asset, an avatar, even a world. It's completely up to you. You will also be given a time frame to learn about your special someone, to get to know them better. Just remember, your gift can be anything, as long as it comes from the heart. If you're interested in participating in this event, simply react to the message. Now, that message is in announcements, and reacting to it, it's the first reaction. So that's everything I've got written down for you guys for this episode. There's not much else to really talk about right now, as, again, a lot of things are still, I wouldn't necessarily want to say that far off from development, but things are still being worked on. As for the police, I really had hoped we would have gotten them done by last week, but that's not too realistic. So whenever Eslo's done with his jazz, and whenever we get a couple other things done, you guys will be out there. But I don't know how long it'll take Eslo, and I don't know how long it'll take to get training done. But as for the models themselves, just need Ash to do the Steve toggles, and I'll have the textures done pretty soon. Textures are pretty easy to do. Neko-san did a good job with these. Anywho, enough going on and on and on and on. While saying that, though, never mind. We got plenty to talk about for next podcast, I'm sure. We can save that. So thank you guys for joining me. I have no idea what episode of the podcast it is. Honestly, I'm fine with not keeping count anymore. It's just in the abyss what episode we're on. I still have a couple terabytes of archived Poicast. I have so many episodes that are not up. So many. I need to upload them to the cloud instead of physical. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. I know I wanted to end this, but I'll say one more thing. Events team, I'll actually save that. I'll save all of that for the next podcast. We'll talk about that more next time. So anyway, thank you guys for joining me on this episode of the podcast. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you guys have had a lot of fun. Hopefully I've been able to give some information on what we're doing, whether that's active developments, what's going on in the community, or, just things in general. But thanks for joining me, man. It's been a time, and I'll see you guys later. Poi. Wow. For those who are on YouTube, hello. Goodbye.